For this picture, a change of scenery, away from my native Wiltshire to Huntingdonshire to Hemmingford Gray. This river scene, different subject from the last one we looked at, and I've just made a couple of lines on here. I'm not against using a straight edge on occasions to get horizontal right. I do feel that if you get these things wrong, they do look wrong, and so I've got no problem with optical instruments. We've got a large tree which is reflected in here. Interesting with reflections, you see a tree on the side of the river will reflect, but a tree that's some way away, that's the other side of the field, probably 400 or 500 yards away, there's no reflection for that. And a common mistake people do make is to reflect everything they see, but of course that's not the case, and it depends on the location of the object in relation to the riverbank as to how much of it reflects. I just need to take this picture off a minute so I can have a look where this tree's going up here. It's a pretty dark mass. So the blocking stage then, I've done a little bit here, but I just want to amend a few things. This tree I've noticed actually comes out a little bit further here, and this one maybe over a little bit further. It doesn't matter actually. I mean, I haven't got to paint what's on the photograph. It's my picture. I'm doing what I want, but just more or less getting it the same. And you'll notice, you see, with this Clairefontaine paper, if you rub it, it does blend a little bit, but not very much. And so that's if you're someone who doesn't blend a lot, it's a lovely facility to work on. So I just block in some main colours now, bearing in mind I'm going to make this an autumn picture, and thinking a little bit about the sky. I'm going to have a bit of a cloud, a bit pink at the moment, but it'll be alright eventually, coming down towards the tree. This is say it's going to be an autumn picture, so it'll be I'm going to have a relatively sunny day. Inside the pastel, you'll notice this pastel is particularly big. You can get extra large unison pastels. I don't have many, but they're handy for some of these blocking in marks, because you can cover a bit of paper quite quick, you know, when you're doing it. If you're going to rub, then you need a lot of pastel on the paper to do it, and you can see you can actually do it if you've got a Right, I want to just do this cloud now. This needs a bit more working on. Clouds are seldom white. I tend to use a pinky colour on clouds. Might use a bit of white on the top. The room I'm working in is my studio. I teach here in the winter. I run watercolour classes here in the winter, and that's aimed mainly at local people living in Wiltshire and Bath and North East Somerset, that sort of area. And then in the summer months I'm out on the road working at various art centres, running courses, and those are watercolour, acrylic and pastel. And I do pastel courses at Dedham Hall, and Also at Windrush House, the home of James Fletcher Watson, and our former home of James Fletcher Watson. And I have an online gallery. It's www.stevehall.co.uk, and also a town centre gallery where I am in partnership with 2 other people, and we sell not just my paintings, but paintings of all sorts of artists. But my pastels can be viewed there, and you can go online. It's bradfordgallery.co.uk, and you can see my work on there and examples of this type of pastel work. We'll start to work some autumn colours in. You've got to be careful not to get too gaudy with these. The problem with autumn pictures is that we tend to think that everything is a bright orange, which of course it's not. And so you've got to build the shapes up a little bit. Sun coming from the left, what will happen is it will just catch the edges of some of these boughs and give colour. And then you'll have darker bits in between. You mustn't make a mistake of just painting everything orange, it just won't work. I quite like plums and purples in my trees as well. One of the reasons for that is that they, on the colour wheel, it's a complementary colour to orange, and so it helps set the orange off a bit. And I'll probably try and work the sky along with the tree a little bit, just to get some idea of the form that I want there. I think that will help. So I'll just start to tuck a little bit of this in now. I often half close my eyes when I do this. It just helps to show up the profile a little bit. I never really have a totally preconceived idea where I'm going with these. I sort of build up a bit as I go along until I get to something which basically I think looks right. That's not a very exact science, I know, but there's a certain element of suck it and see to this. But that's starting to shape a little bit. I'm not totally convinced that that tree looks three-dimensional enough. I just feel I probably need to be a little bit vicious over here. That's better. And once that's done, it's pushed the eye over to the left-hand side of the tree. Right, reflection. Be pretty drastic with this. And basically pull it down. just a slight bit of colour in the reflection, but it needs to be darker. Reflections, the darks become a little lighter and the lights become a little darker, so there is a change. And just start to get a feel for where this bank might go as it comes into the light here. And goes away in the distance. Got some ducks, I've just noticed that. I will put them in just to please the punters. It always amuses me if I'm teaching at home and I've got some ducks or something like that in the picture. People always want to put them in. There's nothing wrong in that. It's just that people become preoccupied with it. Get this bank in now. So we're gradually finding our way along bit by bit. Leave that for a minute and have a look at this tree up here. Again, it's all part of the policy of trying to move about the painting and advance it at the same rate. Various greens here, not the right one. Oh, that's a nice mark, I quite like that. Taking a little bit of the heat out of here, I think. It's autumn in autumn. It's probably better. These trees in the distance are relatively dark, actually. These are just little diagonal strokes. Just little bits of light just help things just pop a little bit. I don't know what it is, but you just make these marks and they they seem to just lift the picture in some way. I don't know why it is, but but it's a fact they do. Finish off the rest of that bank over here now. We'll put this field in to start with. And then these trees in the background, which are reasonably dull. They don't be too bright. Let's bring it down a bit. Right, I've continued working these little shapes up at the back here, and then come forward. Perhaps a little bit of colour in the background as well. This doesn't need to be too strong, so this is a much weaker autumnal tint than what you've got in the left hand side of this big tree. And again, I'll just touch up the sky in here a bit where I've gone over it a bit, and start to get a few sky holes in these trees. So just cutting in, and this is quite hard pressure on these pastel marks. And it's amazing how just the odd little mark in those darks, breaking those darks up, is quite effective. Right, now let's come on down the bottom now. Don't think I need to do much more there. I'll work on this bank, which is fairly straightforward. That's a bit light. So let's try something darker. I'm feeling this is too cool. Oh yes, that's too cool by far. Put a bit of brown in there to start with that. That's okay. That's fine. So it's just a little bit of a pattern with it. Right, here we go then. We're going to do something with this reflection. A little bit make or break. I once heard the late great Edward Weston talking about reflections, and he said, you've got to imagine they're like curtains hanging down. And I thought it was a really good way of expressing it. Okay, now then, hopefully this is where we get a bit of magic. We start to cut across here. As we get ripples on the water. And I'm using a bit of a grey to start with, but that will change in a minute. I'll go to something lighter. Okay, well, a few finishing marks. I've broken up this reflection with some moving water, a couple of posts, and extended this along here. This was it didn't read right, and I needed to capture the water in the arm of this landmass here. I was very tempted to put something in that corner, but I've let that go now. And that's not a million miles away. Maybe just add a little bit of light in there. These little marks just break up the darks. You've got to be careful because they become habitual and you keep putting it all over the place, but they do help. I've just reworked this slightly here to make that a little bit more prominent, and I think we'll call that one a finish. Pop a name on the bottom and that'll be it, I think. There we go. So, hope you enjoy the show. Thank you.